You click because some part of you already suspect the truth. You don't need a lucky break, a viral moment, or a genius idea to build a rich life. You need something far less exciting, absolutely, and far more powerful. By the end of this video, you understand exactly why the boring, repeatable choices you make today are worth more than any single big decision you will ever make. If this idea lands for you, hit that like button right now. It tells me you want more breakdown like this. Here's what almost everybody believes about success. It happens in a moment. The lucky trade, the viral post, the one investment that 10x's everything overnight. The overnight deal that changes everything. We are wired to believe transformation looks like a lightning strike. But here is the contrarian truth. Darren Hardy lays out, and it's almost the opposite. Success isn't a lightning strike. It's erosion in reverse. The same tiny action repeated so many times that it eventually reshapes your entire life. And here is the part that you should genuinely be unsettled about. The exact quiet principles that build a rich life in reverse. It builds a destroyed life. You are compounding something right now, whether you are paying attention or not. This one got to me. You are compounding something, whether it is going higher in your health, whether it is going higher in your finances, whether it is going lower in your personal development, whether it is going further in your mental development. Just know that now in your life you are compounding something. Think about the last week. Think about the last month. What have you repeated? What foolishness have you recycled? What wise decisions are you making consistently? So why trust this book? Hardy didn't write this from a theory book. He spent over 2 decades as a publisher of Success magazine, sitting across the table from self-made millionaires, elite athletes, and founders. Hardy Darren was asking them the same question over and over again. And what is the big question? The big question is, what exactly got you here? The answer was never a single moment. It was always a boring string of small decisions stacked for years. Subscribe to this channel now, because this channel breaks down exactly this kind of research, the mechanics behind the results, not the highlight reel. Here is your roadmap for today. Today I'm going to be talking about 6 takeaways from this book, The Compound Effect by Hardy Darren, the exact engine behind how tiny actions compound into massive outcomes. Stick around for takeaway number 4, because it explains why 2 people with identical goals end up in differently opposite financial universes just 5 years apart. And these are the 6 takeaways from Compound Interest by Darren Hardy. Takeaway number 1, the penny that beats $3 million. Here's a question posed by Darren Hardy in this book, The Atomic Habits. Early on, that completely resets how you think about growth. Would you rather have $3 million handed to you today, or a single penny that doubles in value every single day for 31 days? This is a very tricky question. Almost everyone says take the $3 million. Now here is the math that you should know, because it will change your mind. By the 20, that doubling penny is worth a little over $5,000. Oh, and you will still feel you made the wrong choice. It's just day 20. Now, by day 31, that same penny is now worth over $10 million. Did you hear me right? $10 million. So your penny, doubling it every day for 31 days will give you $10 million. So the growth is invisible for most of the timeline, and then it detonates all at once. It's like in our book, this book by Morgan Housel, The Psychology of Money, he talks about the tails wins. This is one example of the tails, as you don't see the outcome for a long time. That is the heart of the investor. That is the spirit of the investor that makes profits. This is exactly how real compounding behaves. Whether it's money in an index fund, reps in a skill, or a discipline habit. Think of it like a rocket on a launch pad. From the outside, in the few seconds, it barely looks like it's moving. Enormous fuel burns, minimal visible progress. Then something shifts. Thrust overtakes gravity, and then suddenly moving faster than the eye can track. The trader who have held a genuinely great position knows how this feels. The first year looks unremarkable. The account barely moves, and then one stretch, more work than previous 3 combined. So why does this matter? Because most people quit during the 21-day phase. Right when the compounding is about to become undeniable. If you don't understand the shape of this curve, you will abandon that exact habit that will pay you off later. So I'll be showing a chart of this 30-day challenge of 1 penny in 30 days that is doubling, and a chart of the $3 million. But none of this compounding happens automatically. It only starts once you understand where every result in your life actually originates, and that brings us to the real engine that is underneath it. Takeaway number 2: you are 100% responsible, even for what is not even your fault. Now, this is a reverse psychology. This is the takeaway that trips people up most of the time, because it sounds unfair at first. Hardy's position is very blunt. You are completely responsible for everything in your life. Now, not because everything is your fault, but because you are the one with the authority to respond to it. And think about traffic making you late, a difficult client ruining your mood, or a marketer moving and swiping out your position. You didn't see it coming. None of these events are your fault in the traditional sense, but the moment you hand over your responsibility for your reaction to something external, you have also handed your power to change your outcome to something external. Blame feel good in the moment and cost you everything in the long run, because a problem you've blamed on someone else is a problem you've also given up authority to fix. Picture 2 business owners hit by the same slow month, a market share downturn, a share bad quarter. One spend the month explaining why it has happened. The other spend the month asking what he can adjust regardless of why it happened. A year later, guess which one is still in business? And which one is still explaining? This matters because responsibility isn't about guilt, it's about authority. The instant you accept full ownership of your response, you go from passenger in your life to the one that actually drives it. But this only works if you understand how choices actually turn into outcomes, because a single good choice made once changes almost nothing. Takeaway number 3. Choices becomes habits and habit becomes destiny. Here's the mechanism most people skip last. A choice on its own is nearly meaningless. What matters is what that choice becomes once you repeat it. Darren Hardy's research points to something striking. Roughly 95% of what you think, feel, and do on any given day runs on autopilot, pure habit, not conscious decision. That means the actual battlefield of your mind isn't the big dramatic decisions, it's the thousands of tiny automatic ones that runs quietly in the background. What you reach out for when you are tired, what you say yes without thinking, what you scroll past versus what you put into action. Think of habit like a riverbed. The first time water flows across open ground, it barely leaves a mark. Run that same water down the same path 1,000 times, and it carves a canyon so deep the water couldn't leave the path even if you wanted it to. Like erosion. Your daily life and your daily choices are carving a canyon right now, in one direction or the other, whether you notice it or not. This is why willpower alone is such an unreliable strategy. It's a battery that drains by evening. The people who actually change their trajectory don't rely on willpower forever. They use it long enough to carve out the first groove and then let the habit do the heavy lifting. A trader who checks their position with a fixed routine instead of emotional impulse is more disciplined by nature. He built a canyon that makes discipline the default path. So why does this matter? Because you are not one big decision away from anything different in your life. You are just one repeated action that is away. Held long enough and you will change your life. Here is one mistake though that steals the process before the momentum even builds. And the reason most new habits die the first 2 weeks. Takeaway number 4. Momentum is everything, and the start is the hardest part. Here is the piece almost nobody counts for when they set a new goal. In the beginning, every new habit feels disproportionately hard compared to the tiny result it's producing. That imbalance, the tiny result is producing. That imbalance is exactly where most people quit. Think of momentum like pushing a merry-go-round from a dead top. The very first push takes everything you've got, and the wheel barely cracks forward even for an inch. It feels like nothing is happening, but if you keep pushing with steady effort, something shifts. The wheel starts carrying its own weight, and eventually a light touch is enough to keep it spinning fast. The energy required in month 1 and the energy required in month 12 are world apart. But almost everyone judges the whole journey by month 1. This is exactly what separates people who tried investing and it didn't work from people who are now years into a portfolio that is quietly compounding in the background. The first 6 months of consistent investing usually feels like nothing. Small contributions, a market that barely moves, no visible reward. The people who stop there conclude the strategy doesn't work. The people who push through discover that year 3 and year 4 look completely different from year 1. This is because momentum has finally started carrying itself. This matters because if you evaluate a new habit, for example, investing, content creation, fitness, or sales outreach, by how it feels in week 2, you will almost quit at exactly the wrong moment, right before the wheel starts spinning on its own. But even strong momentum can get quietly directed by something you might not be tracking at all: the people around you. Takeaway number 5. Your environment is doing more work than you think. Now here is the statistics from the book that tend to stop people cold. Research cited by Darren Hardy from a Harvard social psychologist suggests that people you regularly associate with can account for as much as 95% of whether you succeed or fail. Not your intelligence, not effort alone. Who are you standing next to day after day? Think of it like water finding its level. You can be the most ambitious, disciplined person in the room, but if every other person around you normalizes complaining, shortcut and settling, you will quietly drift down to match their waterline. Not because you are weak, but because humans are built to synchronize with their environment. The reverse is true. Surround yourself with people operating 1 or 2 levels above where you are currently at, and you find yourself rising to match them without even constantly trying to do so. This shows up everywhere, outside the book too. Founders who join a serious mastermind group often see their revenue jump, not because the group gave them a new information, but because the group made ordinary excuses socially unacceptable. Traders who only talk to other traders chasing the same reckless pay tend to normalize that behavior that blow up accounts, while traders in disciplined, risk-first community normalizes patience as a long-term trend. So why does this matter? Because you can fix your habit and your mindset perfectly and still get quietly pulled off the course by the 5 or 6 people you spend the time around with. Protecting your environment isn't optional, it is structural. Once your habits are sold and your environment is right, there is one final layer that turns steady growth into something that is actually unstoppable from the outside. Takeaway number 6. Track everything and push past the wall. Here's the final piece, and one that separates people who improve slowly from people who seem to accelerate out of nowhere. Darren Hardy's research points to a simple and almost unglamorous habit. The highest performers track their numbers relentlessly, not because tracking feels good, but what gets measured is actually what gets managed. Every serious athlete coach charts, and every serious person doing bodybuilding takes rep for exactly this reason. But tracking alone isn't the whole story. Everyone eventually hits a wall, a stretch where the effort feels maxed out and the results stop showing. Most people read that wall as proof they've hit their ceiling and back off right there. The people who end up with extraordinary results treat the wall as the actual starting line, not the finishing line, because everyone else is quitting at that exact point, which means the growth is on the other side of it, far less contested. Now think of it like an altitude on a mountain climb. The air gets thinner and every step gets harder the higher you go. But this is exactly where the crowd gets thinned out too, because most climbers turn back right where difficulty spikes. Push past through that specific stretch and you are no longer competing with the crowd. You are competing with almost no one. This matters because the wall isn't a sign to stop. It is the exact filter separating people who talk about compounding from people who actually experience it. So here is what you walked away with today in this book. Tiny compounding actions look like nothing until they suddenly look like everything. You are fully responsible for your response even when you are not responsible for that event. Your daily habits are quietly building either a cranium or a rot momentum. Momentum is brutal at the start and nearly effortless later. Your environment is shaping your outcomes more than your willpower ever will. And the wall you want to quit is usually the exact point where everybody quits too. Before this video, success probably looked like a single big point, but now you have the actual mechanics, the small simple steps, the repeatable engine that builds quietly in the background, the unremarkable rich looking life that you've underestimated is hidden under your daily habits. Pick one habit from this video and commit to it for the next 31 days. Not seeing the result by 21 day, but to still be standing by day 31, right when the curve finally bends. If you notice, my voice is now slow. I want you to get it. If you want a simple way to track that habit daily instead of relying on memory, I've built a tracker for exactly this. The link is in the description.